Okay,
Welcome
let's do it.
to the Raiders Daily. I
All
am
right,
your host
everyone.
today,
Hang on, let
Phil
me put the.
Robinson the third. We've got Willie Epting Jr. And as soon as Sunshine will make his way back here, that we have Mr. Raiders Daily, Stephen Michaels, ready
All
to
right,
reach
the
out
voice
the
of the
rim
voice
and
of Sport
protect
Raider Nation. We are here. We are live. It's time to take over. All right. What's up, Phil? What's up, Willie? How's it
Man,
going?
we just chilling on it.
Yep.
Good, good, good. What the hell is that in the corner?
That's part of the background or overlay.
All right. I gotta see what I'm looking at here. All right, cool. All right, so we will recap the Texans game, right? And then talk about the big game, obviously, with the Saints. All right, so the Raiders went in, they destroyed the Saints. I
Texans.
picked the Raiders or sorry, Texans. Um, I'm sick, so Phil should be doing this. But anyways, they destroy the Texans. They win by 10, just what I thought they would win by. Finally, a big.
No, 38 to
Finally,
20.
One by
yeah, but
18.
they won more by they won by double digits, right?
Okay.
And
More than 10. So,
yeah,
anyways, uh, they defeat the Texans because they did what they should have been doing all season, which is running Josh Jacobs, and it works as you could see. Um, so, what's your takeaways, guys, from that game?
go
Go ahead,
ahead,
Phil.
Willie.
Go ahead, Phil.
The running game is the answer. The running game is the identity. The running game is the truth. And the running game damn sure better be what they stick with for the duration of the season moving forward. The best stat that's not getting talked about enough was one that Paul Gutierrez posted from ESPN Stats, and that out of the 144 yards that Josh Jacobs carried the football, 113 of that was before contact. The offensive line has been phenomenal since Andre James came back from his concussion. In the last 2 weeks, Josh Jacobs is averaging 7 yards per carry. And we're not talking about one or two, we're not talking about 5 to 10 carries a game. We're talking about over the last 48 carries, Josh Jacobs is averaging 7 yards plus per carry. That is insanity. That's some college shit right there. That's unheard of.
Yeah, I mean, we've been screaming it since the Chargers game, the first game of the year, when for whatever reason Josh Josh McMack did not really do anything about the running game until the third quarter. And Josh was having some success then. I think that you guys are right on point. We we see it. Raider Nation sees it. Josh Jacobs is in a contract year, and look, by virtue of Josh Jacobs being in the same running back room, and Phil, we talked about this on Monday. By him being virtue or being in the same running back room as Bo Scarborough and whoever else they had, Kenyon Drake, you can go all the way back to whoever else from the old school. This dude's freshness on his legs and on his body is really becoming more and more evident. The way that this dude, I didn't see this dude breaking tackles like this when he was wearing number 8 at Alabama. I did not see it.
He doesn't have to. Those are, if you go back and watch that Alabama tape, them was some mighty big holes he were running through.
Yeah, but that's more to the point and more to his credit because he consistently had the best line in college. He ain't have that in the NFL. So when the tide was turned and your offensive line is not nearly as good, not saying that the Raiders' offensive line was terrible or has been terrible or is even terrible now. What I'm saying is that's a tribute to his running style and his ability to be evasive. That the only knock on Josh Jacobs that I have is that he doesn't have the breakaway speed that is probably necessary. But I would prefer I would prefer a running back that is elusive, that has great feet, good vision, can spot the hole, can cut back, 1 foot in the ground and go and maul defensive lines all game long, rather than have that one cat that can hit the home run.
And he could still hit the home run. It's just got to be from 40 yards out or less.
That ain't hitting the home run. That's a triple.
Hey, listen, it all counts the same once you hit pay dirt.
Yeah, that's a triple. But I understand where you're coming from, though. It's all gravy.
Yeah, Josh Jacobs been playing very, very well. He's not a guy who's gonna take the ball and run it for 70 yards for a touchdown, but he's the guy who takes the ball and runs it for 20 yards. He takes chunk runs. You know what I mean? He's not a breakaway runner. We haven't really seen that yet, but he picks up first downs and he gives the offense chances, because this team can't be third and 10 every series. It's not going to work. And if you notice during the Texans game, they were in a lot of third and manageables, third and 4, third and 5. If you can run it like that and make it third and short, like I said, you really want to get to like third and 5 is really what every coach tries to get to. The third and 8, third and 9, you don't want that. That's not like a winning formula. So if you can cut the downs to third and short, you will have a way better chance of winning. And that's what the Raiders did against the Texans. If you notice, they controlled the tempo of the game. They pretty much controlled everything. And they kind of had to, because let's be honest here, this Raiders secondary is not that great. You know what I mean? You can throw off the Raiders very easily, mostly because they can't get pressure on the quarterback, which is, again, Davis Mills should not throw for 300 yards, or whatever the hell he threw for. It's unacceptable. It's unacceptable. So, luckily, the Raiders, at the end, Harmon gets that big interception that really sealed the game there. And Josh Jacobs the Raiders offense imposed their own will on the Texans defense. They could not stop Josh Jacobs, and pretty much that was the game. That was the game. So the Raiders get their victory. The Chargers lose, correct?
Yep.
And the Broncos end up losing. The Chiefs ended up winning. That would have been great if Kansas City lost. But now we're looking at it where the Raiders are 2-4. They're pretty much, if they can beat the Saints, they're right back in this thing. If you look around the AFC, all these teams are pretty much have the same record. You know what I mean? Or they're one game up on the Raiders in the AFC. The Raiders went from being, I think, second,
32nd. Yeah.
Yeah, and now they're up to I don't know what it is, 12. I put it on the Facebook page, but I think they're only like 6 games out from the seeding and the AFC seeding. I put it on Twitter. But they're right there. They are right there. I don't know if they can win the AFC West, but they can get in the playoff picture pretty easily. The only problem is they lost against some key teams like the Tennessee Titans and things like that. But can't worry about that now, because they got a New Orleans Saints team coming. This game is going to be a tough game for the Raiders. A tough game.
Anytime you go to New Orleans is going to be a tough game, because they may not have the dome patrol like they did back in the day with Ricky Jackson and Sam Mills and all those guys. But the Saints defense is the truth. Although the offensive side of the ball, I don't know what's going on with their. Well, we know Jameis had the fractured back.
Yeah, Andy Dalton's gonna be playing, but listen, the Saints throw the ball a lot. They're 8th in the NFL. The Raiders are not good in pass defense at all. They're 27th in the NFL against the pass. So this is going to be a game where the Saints are going to throw off the Raiders. There's no doubt in my mind. They have to get after Andy Dalton. The secondary has to step up, because this is a team that's going to throw off the Raiders. They just are. And the red zone defense for the Raiders, obviously, they're terrible. They're 30th in the NFL, and they're going up against the sixth ranked red zone offense in the NFL. So I'm telling you, the Saints, they score a lot of points, as you know, and the Raiders are going to have to match that. They are going to have to score. They're going to have to go tit for tat here against the Saints to have any chance of winning this game. It's going to be a tough game to win unless they can get after Andy Dalton, in my opinion.
And I think we'll be able to. What I don't like about this game is the early start.
Yeah, it's always bad for the Raiders, really. I mean, for what, a decade, more than a decade now. Those early starts always been bad. Sometimes the Raiders show up, but then you get games like last year against the Giants, where Derek Carr is just terrible out playing early games. You just never know what you're gonna get with this guy. You know what I mean? But I mean, this is a big game because the Raiders can turn around their entire season with the schedule they have in front of them. And it starts with the Saints. They beat the Texans. These are all teams they should beat. The Saints, like I said, if they score, what the hell is that? If
Somebody
they
send the
score,
facts.
Yeah, my fucking phone is over here going bananas because people want to text me in the middle of the fucking.
I'll put it on vibrate. Put it on
Well,
vibrate.
I would, but the thing is that it's going off on my computer as well.
Oh yeah, you did that stupid thing. But yeah, so the Raiders have to. They have to convert third downs in this game. They have to score touchdowns in this game. But I think they should make the game just like they did against Texans. Play it their way. Run Josh Jacobs. See if they can get anything going on the run game. Remember the Texans. I believe they're. Let me. They are 22nd on defense against the run. So, and obviously the Raiders are the third best rushing team in football. So I would feed Jacobs early. Hopefully that opens up gaps. So hopefully they can run off them. If they can run off them early, then we'll know what kind of game this is going to be. This is going to be the Raiders just wearing them out like they did against the Texans. I just don't think a shootout is good. I don't think the Raiders secondary will be able to keep up, even with all the injuries the Saints have. And luckily, most of those guys aren't playing. Michael Thomas and all those guys, or the Raiders would be in big trouble. I noticed the Raiders have a hard time against fast wide receivers and bigger receivers. Tight ends or wide receiver. If they're bigger guys or if they're fast guys, they have a hard time covering those guys. With no Nate Hobbs, it's even going to be more tougher, which is why the Raiders would like to make a trade with someone to bring in a cornerback or a defensive tackle. We'll see if that happens this week. I don't think they'll make a trade. I think they're going to wait until this game happens because if they win, then they know they can add and keep building here. But so yeah, I think a lot depends on this game. I really do. And it's going to be a tough game. It really is. Is your fire alarm going off? Are you
I'm
okay?
telling you, that's my fucking. I figure out how to turn this shit off is what I gotta do.
You sure your house isn't on fire?
Man, right?
Oh,
It's getting louder and louder.
Right?
I know. What's going on over there? Maybe you got notifications from Pornhub.
This shit is right.
Asian fever over there.
Right.
So the Raiders really just have to play their own style of football on offense. And on defense, they have to get pressure on the quarterback. I mean, there's no other way around it. Someone other than Max Crosby has to show up on that defensive line. They have to. So, Willie, what do you think? What are the keys for the Raiders to win this game?
I mean, the ball has to stay on the ground for as much as possible. Yeah, the Saints have some good pass rushers on the edge with Davenport and Jordan. I think they may be a little bit vulnerable up the middle. The offense for the Saints is third in the NFL in total offense.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They score a lot. They're good. That's why, even though they've lost these games. These games been close too. They're kind of like the Raiders. They lost a lot of close games.
Yeah, yeah, and to say that they are third in the NFL with Andy Dalton as their quarterback, I don't know, man. I'll put it to you like this: I'm not, I'm not really concerned if there is a shootout, and the reason why is because I think our quarterback is better than their quarterback. I think our quarterback, I think their quarterback will be more likely to throw the ball to us than we to them. Derek Carr's had a couple of nice games here over this last 3 game stretch. No turnovers. Um, and I think if the run once the run is established, then the Raiders can gnaw on that defensive line for the remainder of the game. And as we've seen, Josh doesn't do nothing but get stronger as the game goes on.
Yeah, and the Saints, just to let you know, they are, I believe they have given up. Let me see here. I can. I believe they have given up 8 turnovers on a season, which is last in the NFL. I believe that's the number, or is it? Hang on, I'm trying to see here.
No, it's not because the Raiders haven't given up three.
It's 15 giveaways. The Saints,
So
not
they
the
give
Raiders.
the ball away, they
Yeah,
interceptions. That's what
yeah,
that is.
yeah. They're ranked 32nd in the NFL, whereas the Raiders, unfortunately, their takeaways, they only have 4 takeaways on a season. That's why the Raiders in practice all week, the last 2 weeks, have been preaching create turnovers, create turnovers, create turnovers, because they knew their obviously after their bye week, the coaches are looking at the teams they're about to play. They're playing the Texans. They're playing the Saints. These team they hand the ball over. So since they're playing the Saints, this is a good opportunity to have Andy Dalton throw some stupid passes, and the Raiders capitalize on it. Harmon, got a big one last week. The only problem is, like, I watched the game last week against Arizona with the Falcons, with the Saints, and Andy Dalton, his 2 interceptions were deflections. They
Mm-hmm.
weren't like him just like throwing it to the other team. There were deflections that ended up being pick six, and that's pretty much why Arizona beat the Saints, was because of those. Those are like lucky type stuff. The Raiders can't just rely on the ball getting deflected. One of them was because a Saints wide receiver put it up in the air, so they can't rely on that. But either way, they do turn the ball over. So the Raiders defense, if they can create some turnovers on that defense, run Josh Jacobs, get Devontae Adams involved. Darren Waller is probably, the Raiders say he's going to be back for this game. We'll see. I don't really trust him. But if he is back for this game, get the tight ends involved. Saints pretty good, but if they're kind of like the Raiders, you can attack them in the middle of the field. That's what Arizona kept doing. Arizona kept attacking in the middle of the field. The Raiders will be able to do that with Hunter Renfrow, a lot of seam routes right in the middle of the field, crossing routes, whatever. That's what you got to do against the Saints. You got to put up points, and you got to have a balanced game. You got to run the ball good. If you're running it good, that opens up the play action. That's when the Raiders will score the most points.
No, I agree. I agree with that. They're missing a lot of guys on defense as well on the back end. But if you run the football, you can minimize that pass rush and get them a little bit worn out. The best way to neutralize the pass rush is to run right at the defensive end and make him have to defend the run all game till he starts getting tired. Then you can go back to the shotgun and do a variety of things. But offensive on defense, I think that the key is really going to be stopping Taysom Hill, because Taysom Hill comes in and does the crazy shit. He's all over the place. He's coming in motion. He's playing tight end. He's running the ball. He's throwing the ball. He's out wide. But if teams keep Taysom Hill out of the end zone, they usually beat the Saints. The Saints are missing two of their 3 top receivers. and I believe that while Olave is good, you can roll some coverage to him, and there's not really too much else that they have that they're going to beat you with. Alvin Kamara they need to tackle Alvin Kamara, and they need to tackle him early and not allow him to get going. and they so far they haven't allowed a 100-yard rusher. Pierce has come the closest with 92. But the pass rush has got to step it up. But the beautiful thing is that Andy Dalton is damn near a statue back there, so you don't have to mush rush. Chandler Jones can now attack the quarterback.
Yeah, well, let's see if he can get around his defender first. But yeah, Taysom Hill he's the one that really worries me. I mean, if I was the Saints, I would be using this guy a lot more. By the way, I mean they pick. It seems like every time they put him in a game, they have a big. I don't know. I don't know. They should use them a lot more. But yeah, I could see him hurting the Raiders a lot. But usually, if Taysom Hill's in there, he's gonna run. So hopefully, but he can throw too. I mean, people forget that this guy was a quarterback. So he can throw the football too. So the Raiders really gotta not get fooled on these trick plays. The Raiders try to run their own trick plays, and they don't end up well sometimes. But yeah, they can't be fooled by these trick plays. And if this game does become a shootout, the defense has to step it up. Because again, like I said, this game's very important for the Raiders to get back their season. They were 1-4. They're 2-4 now. The Chargers are melting. The Broncos are a dumpster fire. I mean, the Raiders are right there. They can just put together some victories, but they have to be consistent. Something that the Raiders have not been in a very long time. I mean, let's be honest here. Since Derek Carr's been there, the Raiders have not been consistent. This guy looks like an MVP quarterback for 2-3 weeks, and then he loses 5 games in a row. Right now, the Raiders cannot do that. They can't afford to do that because of the hole they put themselves in. And I don't care how many points they lost by. Yes, they've been in every game, but now it's time to win those games. There is no moral victories in the NFL. They're going to New Orleans, an early game. The Raiders are favorite, which is kind of surprising to me, but they're favorite in this game. The Raiders have to win this game. They win this game, I believe they can turn around their entire season. Remember, they still get to play the Chargers again. They still get to play against the Chiefs. They still get a chance to play against the Broncos. They can really fix everything. They can fix everything, but it starts with winning and winning back-to-back games.
Yeah.
There's something that this team has to do. You can't just win 1 and then lose 3, especially when you're 1-4. It's time to start stacking wins and start putting it together.
And this is a golden opportunity for at least for us to make up a half game because the Chiefs are on a bye this week. So as Raider fans, we can't really look forward to seeing or hoping that the Chiefs are going to lose.
Nope.
We just got to go out there and do our thing. And the schedule, the next 3 games is very, very favorable. I could see us getting to 5-4. The Chargers, man, I feel if they don't fire their coach by the end of the year, if they don't start turning this thing around, I would be utterly and completely shocked.
Whoa. Time out. Do not put that out in the universe. You want his dumb ass to stay right there and continue to do the dumb shit he's been doing, coming up making bonehead decision after bonehead decision as long as it benefits you. Don't fuck that up for us now, telling him to fire this man. This man needs a raise and a contract extension. That's what the fuck he needs.
Yeah, but the only problem is you have to look at his face. And when
that's okay. I can watch his face end in disappointment every time he makes another one of those dumb analytical decisions and watch him in the press conference double down. Oh, the analytics say, motherfucker, how you
analytics.
Keep losing. I'm
Dude,
like, you keep
first
losing.
of all, here's the reality that ESPN doesn't want to tell you. NFL coaches don't fucking use analytics during a football game. The only one that does is the Chargers. What they do is they watch what is going on in a football game. They make a decision. If it's 4th and 1, they'll bring the quarterback over. Should we go for it? Yeah, let's just go for it. They're going by the rhythm of the football game. If they're being stopped, let's say your running back he's getting plowed. Your offensive line is not doing too well. Obviously, you're not going to go for it on 4th and 1. But if you're doing it, if you're winning in the trenches and your running back is doing well, you're going to go for it on 4th and 1. This guy's relying on some computer machine analytics. I mean, he's complete bullshit. First of all, the Chargers have all this talent. I could go in there and I bet you I would win the AFC West. I'm a better coach than this Brandon Stokely, whatever the fuck his name is. What is his name?
Staley.
I don't even know. Stale. He's stale. Listen, this guy, he sucks. It's good for the Raiders, though. It really is. It's good for the Raiders. This guy is so terrible. But as far as, like I said, you can't worry about the Chiefs because I don't think the Raiders are going to be able to keep it cheap. They're not going to be able to get there.
They will, but they got to win.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying. And right now, the Raiders are only 2-4. So they have to win football games for us to even be talking about the Chiefs. They have to beat the New Orleans Saints. The only thing that matters is the week that is coming up next. I don't care about week 14. I care about if the Raiders can go into New Orleans and beat a very good Saints team, a very underrated Saints team. Like I said, go back and watch all their games. They're pretty much in every football game. And they do pretty well. They do very well. So this is going to be a tough game for the Raiders. It really will be. We'll see what happens. We'll see if the Raiders can, with this season, you can't. It's so hard to pick games. It really is. You see upsets every week. We just seen Chicago destroy New England. No one saw that coming. I mean, it's impossible. It really is impossible to know what team is going to show up week to week in the NFL this year. So, it's kind of like you just kind of beat. Some teams are just unbeatable right now. Like the Giants, the Eagles, a lot of NFC teams. And then other teams are just like, oh, they're good for 2 weeks, and then they, for some reason, lose 2 in a row. The Raiders, right now, they got 2 wins, luckily. They got to get their 3rd win. They have to beat the Saints here. Plus, I think it will do wonders in the locker room if they could get double back-to-back victories. The morale in the locker room, I think, will go up. If you win one, lose one, win one, lose one, you're never going to get that feeling that, we're really, really good. You got to get continuity. You got to be consistent. Like I said, something Derek Carr has yet to be in his career. He has to do it this season. Starts this week, Sunday, 1 o'clock in New Orleans. It's going to be a tough game. But like I said, if Max Crosby and Chandler Ghost Jones can show up and get after Andy Dalton, he will make mistakes. He will. He will make mistakes. And the Raiders, hopefully their secondary, without Nate Hobbs, can capitalize on that.
No, without a doubt. And, I think that what gets lost in translation looking at this particular record is how good the Raiders offense has been without fully clicking. I mean, we have yet to see a 300-yard passing game. We have yet to see a passing explosion where you see more than 2 touchdown passes being thrown. We have yet to see what this passing game can really look like when everything's clicking, when the ball's on time, when the routes are crisp, when the reads are correct, when everything is going the way that it's supposed to. Because on the flip side, you look at where we are with the rushing attack. They're averaging 7 yards a carry and 100 yards before contact because they are finally recognizing their blocking assignments and executing it. This comes back to do your job.
And also, this is a better run scheme for Josh Jacobs. It's not, it's just like the guard pulling, and it's simplified for Josh Jacobs. He gets the ball, he makes the decision which gap to go to. You know what I mean? It's not all of this off zone and all this shit he has to worry about before a pre-snap. He's pretty much getting the ball he's going to know where to run. And what he's doing is he knows what lane to go to. Once he gets that ball and he hits that line of scrimmage, he has two options, inside or outside. And
Mm-hmm.
he's making good decisions. And when he gets hit, if you notice, he gets hit once, he's always still going. He's
Yeah.
bouncing off the first initial hit, and he's going. Like I said, he's not going for 70 yards, but 7 yards, 8 yards. That's a lot. That puts your quarterback in the best situation to succeed. You can't. You know what I mean? As long as the Raiders in this game, in particular, because it's gonna be big, they can't have dumb penalties, false starts, holding calls, pass interference. They can't do that in this game. They can't give the Saints freebies. They can't, have special teams is going to be huge in this game. Don't let the Saints have the ball in the 40 every time they start a drive. They have to pin them back. They have to keep them on their own side so the Saints aren't starting at the 45, 50-yard line every possession. The Raiders can do that, and their defense can get after Andy Dalton, and the Raiders execute on offense. They can win this game. They can. Will they is a different story.
That
I,
is
I'm
the
I really want to see um a complete game from an execution standpoint from the offense. I want Mac Hollins to eat. I want Darren Waller to eat. I want Josh Jacobs to eat. Devontae Adams is going to eat. Um, I don't think the secondary for the Saints is up to the task. I mean, our pass catching room, and I'm talking about wide receivers and obviously tight ends. But I like Josh McDaniels and the way that he has began to implement more of the screen game. That I think the personnel is there. I believe that's why he brought in Brandon Bolden to be like the head monster of the screen game. But Josh Jacobs has proven that he is more than capable of running the screen game, whether it's on the weak side, strong side, play action, and then whatever the case may be, because he breaks tackles, man, like nobody's business. Um, so when you have a Davenport on one side and then you have a Cameron on the other side, this is the optimum time to run the screen game or run the draw game, particularly the screen or the draw game, but not out of the shotgun.
Yeah, I want to see Hunter Renfro more involved. I mean, he's hardly involved. I mean, he got involved a little bit more last week. I want to see him take the next step, get him more involved especially crossing patterns. I want Derek Carr hit him in stride and not how Hunter Renfro does those ground balls where he just catches it and falls down. I want Hunter Renfro in stride, hitting him in stride. That's where he's really good at, and they haven't really been doing much of that. Not a lot of crossing routes where you can hit Devon. I mean, think about it. You have Devontae Adams and Hunter Renfro. If you run a crossing route, I don't think there's many teams in the NFL that are going to be able to stop Hunter Renfro and Devontae Adams on a crossing route. One of those guys is going to be open. I think the problem is Derek Carr does not trust his offensive linemen to give him that much time, and that's why the play action will open that up. You know what
I've
I
been
mean?
waiting for you to say that all show long. Let me tell you something about the time that Derek Carr doesn't trust his offensive line to give him, because that offensive line right now is number one across the board, number one in yards per carry, and number one in pocket time. The 2.6 seconds of pocket time this offensive line has given Derek Carr is number one in the NFL.
I think they're doing fine.
They're doing great. So if
But
Derek Carr doesn't trust his offensive line to give him some time, there's the answer to this mystery.
you know who I think he doesn't trust? I think it's Illuminar. I think that's the guy he doesn't trust.
It's 2.6 seconds of pocket time. He's got, and when you look at that's the average, because when I look at it back there, he's getting 3 to 4 consistently. If he's holding the ball for 3 to 4 seconds and then not trusting his right tackle, once again, there
I
is
mean,
the answer to your
and
your problem.
I mean, unless this guy, I mean, the first couple of weeks were rough. Yeah, you know, they were rough, but they gotten better over.
A lot better.
That's
Yeah,
what I was gonna say.
so like, I mean, now I think you can trust them. But I still see Derek Carr even when he does the play actions, even when he has a a good throw, he has those happy feet. You know, he's tapping those feet so much that it's like you can tell that he's a little bit worried back there that he's
And
gonna take
again,
a sack.
and
And then
again,
yeah,
there's the answer to your question.
well,
Everything that you said all comes back to one person.
yeah, it's not a question. It's he's got to stop being scared about getting sacked. And if he does get sacked, like dude, Josh McDaniels pretty much told everyone,
Huh,
yeah,
I
we
have
took
something for that too. Because you
he
want
took
to
a
know
sack.
where you want to know where the Raiders are in terms of getting sacked. You're talking Derek Carr is the 19th has been hit the 19th most times. That's quarterback hits. He's been sacked, I think, the 21st most times, which means that the offensive line is top 12 in terms of sacks in the league. Nobody is touching him.
Yeah, he's only been sacked 13 times.
Yeah, nobody is touching him.
No,
They're not even blitzing the Raiders.
no, well, they don't want to blitz the Raiders because Josh Jacobs. If you blitz,
Well, they don't want to blitz Josh. They don't want to blitz Derek Carr because of
Because they got
Devontae Adams and
left.
Hunter Renfrow being left 1-on-1. That's the reason why.
That's why they're not blitzing.
Yeah.
but if you blitz you on the outside, you're gonna get Jacobs is gonna run in between the tackles. If you
And
blitz on the outside,
that's what they're taking advantage of, because teams are running the too high shell and going with a light box, so that the way that you beat that and run them out you got to run them out of it. And over the course of the last 3 weeks, that's what they've done. And the result you can see for yourself. The results are plain as day. They're going to run teams out of that, and the teams are going to have to play the passing game honestly, and it's coming soon.
I just don't know if the Saints will do what they did to the Cardinals. They played a lot of 4-2-5, so
they won't be able to if the run. That's the beauty of it.
yeah.
If the run game is going, they won't be able to. They're going to have
Yeah,
to.
but what they do is what the Saints do is they have the linebackers basically at the line of scrimmage.
That's
So
cool.
so that's their way of stopping it, and then they'll pull one of the safeties a little bit closer if they think it's a run. That's what Dennis Allen tries to do. Also, remember that too. This is Dennis Allen. They're playing. He is going
He's
to
going to
want.
blitz.
Yeah, but he's gonna want to get his revenge on the Raiders. Don't forget about that.
Oh
He
gosh.
he got fired by Mark Davis on an airplane. He's going to want to get his revenge on the Raiders. It's just the way it is, dude. If you get fired somewhere, you're not going to be, all happy to see them. You're going to want.
I get it. I get it completely, but the way that the style of play that the Raiders are excelling with, it does not matter who you are. It doesn't matter how motivated you are. They are mauling teams up front. That's what they're doing. We're not doing anything fancy. We're looking for you, and we're manning you up, and we're putting you on your back.
Phil, settle down. The Raiders beat the Texans, okay? Settle down. They have 2 wins. They beat the Houston Texans.
They ran all over the Chiefs.
They didn't beat the Buffalo Bills here. They beat the Houston Texans.
They should have.
Houston Texans. And you're acting like this is some kind of team that's dominant or something. They've beaten the Houston Texans. They have yet to show anyone they can win back-to-back games.
They are the number 3 rushing team in the league. Josh Jacobs since week 3
is their record?
Best
what is
team.
their record?
So they started, like you said, it was rough at the beginning, and it took them a minute to find themselves. As they found their identity, they've been
Fellas, calm down. Calm down. Calm down. We on the same team here. We're on the same side. Y'all didn't engage in
Nope.
some civil war.
So
Yeah.
they've won 2 out of their last 3.
Who do they beat?
So they beat Denver, they beat Houston. They won 2 of their last 3, and we're 1
How
point
many
away from
games?
beating the Chiefs on the
So,
road.
so
Get
they
out of
beat,
here.
so they
Get
beat
out of here.
they beat in the Denver Broncos and
Who
the
have the number 2
Houston
defense in the league?
Texans.
Where's
Denver
Denver's
Broncos who
defense
can't
ranked?
score a touchdown, and the
That's not my
Houston
fault. Where's
Texans.
their defense ranked? They put up points on Denver's
Listen,
defense.
how many?
I think we look too much friendly fire going on right here, guys. We
I'm
don't need
just
the civil
telling
war.
you.
We don't need the civil war.
They
Both of
won
you,
2 out of
both
their
of you,
last 3. Their running back is on fire.
They're
Has ranked
2-4.
almost.
Listen, I hope the Raiders win, but Bill
yards.
acts like this team's a Super Bowl team right now or something because they beat the Texans. I mean, if you can't beat the Texans, you have a problem in the first place. And they already have a problem because they can't. I mean, come on.
Dude,
They were up 20-0 on the Arizona Cardinals. What happened?
but
Yeah, 20-0. 20-0.
the first 3 games. They've won 2 out of their last 3. They found their identity. They've ran for 450 yards in the last 3 games.
Don't count. So those games don't count. So their record's not 2-4.
So if they win this week, they won't be 3-4. If they win 2 weeks in a row, they won't be. If they win 3 weeks in a row, they won't be 500.
Now you're playing.
We're facing a bunch of 2-5 teams that are suddenly going to become the best teams in the league. Because the last time I checked,
that's what I'm saying. The Raiders are playing
2-5, and the Raiders were 2-4. But somehow the Saints are the team we got to watch out for. I'm just saying. I mean, if we're gonna call it like that and go to records, then who did the Saints beat? Riddle me that, man. Who did the Saints?
The Saints beat better teams than the Raiders.
They got beat by Tampa Bay. They only put 10 on Tampa Bay. Have you seen Tampa Bay lately? They only put 10 on that.
Lately.
No, hold up. No, what's this lately thing? Because you were talking about Arizona, and Arizona wasn't lately.
Arizona was what?
As a matter of fact, actually, it was the same week. They lost. They got dog walked by the Buccaneers.
You are as good as what your record says you are.
Hold on a second. Hold on.
I'm going to give Bill
Stop. You guys are displaying something that I do not want to see. You're giving people out there every reason to talk bad about Raider fans. Look at them. They're going at each other. No, we don't do that. We're not doing that. So I'm going to say this in regards to how good you are. You're only as good as your last game. Okay? You're only as good as your last game. And last time I checked, we won 38-20 and had a lot of great things happen in that game. Some things need to be cleaned up, but we had a lot of great things to happen in that game. So since you're only as good as your last game, we have the proper building blocks in place in order to go out here and beat a New Orleans Saints team that, yes, is very on paper, that, yes, many people did say that they were going to be the NFC representative of the for the Super Bowl. Yes, they do have issues at quarterback. Yes, they do have all those things. But this is a Raiders show. We're talking about the Raiders and what we are doing at the current time to get to a place where we all thought we would get to, which is in the tournament at the end of the year. So I gotta have y'all pump the brakes on this Civil War, because number one is making me want to go get the bayonet and stab myself in the side. And then number two, we have all these positive things that have taken place, and y'all are arguing, man. Y'all are arguing like people who don't know anything about football.
Time out. The correct record. I am a Houston Oilers fan.
Oh my God.
That's right, I am. So I am not a Raiders fan. I am a Houston Oilers fan. What I do is I talk about the Raiders. And because I'm not a Raiders fan, I can give an unbiased opinion. Whereas Phil is a Raiders fan. So he is going to give Raider fan opinions, not me. He has a show called The Unfiltered Truth.
I do.
But is it really the unfiltered truth if he's
That's
just
relevant.
lying? He's just
Lying.
painting a narrative of the Raiders being a Super Bowl team? I mean, is it really the truth? Or is it the truth that the Raiders are nowhere near the Buffalo Bills? They are nowhere near the top of the league. I mean, they've won 2 games.
But
I hope
how many people are though? How many people are that close to the Buffalo Bills?
the Philadelphia Eagles are
But
close
they're
to
okay, but
uh,
okay. Oh, let me rephrase the question. Let me rephrase the question. How many people in the AFC are that close to the Buffalo Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs? Oh, by the way, that was a Kansas City Chiefs team that or game that we did only lose by 1 point. I understand a loss is
I
a
don't care if you
loss.
lost by 50, still
I,
lost.
I understand that, but what I'm saying is that the Raiders did everything in that game but win the game. What does that say? What does that say? That says that you have done everything that you needed. It ain't like we got blown out like the 49ers did, who supposedly had the best team or the best defense in the NFC or possibly even in the NFL. It's not like the Raiders got just thrown all over them like the Jaguars did to the Los Angeles Chargers. This was a game on Monday night in the most hostile territory in the National Football League. And we more than held our own against a Chiefs team that we actually provided a blueprint for in order for other teams to beat. So, yes, while you say, yes, we're 2-4. Yes, there's no consistency. Yes, all these things are true. Yes, you may be a Houston Oilers fan. Yes, the New Orleans Saints can pass the ball all over the yard. What I'm saying is this, is that you're only as good as your last game. The last game that we played, I don't care if it was against the Houston Texans, the Houston Oilers, the Houston Gamblers, or the Houston Cougars. It was a game in the NFL that we had to win. Those dudes on the other side, they get paid big contracts too, so they came to play and they played a very good game. They have a head coach in Lovie Smith who they will all run through a wall for, and the Raiders made the plays and made the adjustments when they had to be made. Now, we take everything that took place in the game against the Texans and we pay it forward to what we're going to have to deal with in the Saints. We know they have 2 bookend pass rushers. We know they have a dynamic running back. We know that if given healthy and on the field, their wide receiver trio may be the best in the league. But at the same time, just like the Texans had to come to Vegas, we have to go to New Orleans. And the last time I checked, the Raiders are professional players too and get paid. So everything that is going on in terms of this civil war, dude, come on, man. This is the Raiders daily, not the Oilers daily.
Raiders weekly.
Well, I'm looking at his cap is Raiders daily.
Yeah, the Raiders daily is a really big thing. So
kind of a big deal.
yeah, just a little bit. I love the Raiders. What are you talking about? That's the only team I can root for because they're
there ain't no Oilers no more.
There ain't no more Oilers.
Yeah, they are. They're just called the Titans now.
I know. I tried that for a year and it doesn't work. When they first moved there, I was fine with the Tennessee Oilers when they kept the logo and everything. I was okay. And then they changed everything.
It's still the same franchise, though.
No, they're not. Tennessee Titans. No.
Tennessee. Don't they have a new owner?
I think they still have this. They did have the same owner. I do root for the Tennessee Titans when they're in the playoffs, so I will say that. Just because when they first started, they were the Tennessee Oilers. They should have just kept the name the Oilers. That's why when the Raiders moved to Vegas, I was a little worried that some billionaire would, change the brand, the logo, or whatever. Can't have that. Trust me. That's why
it's gonna be one of the two.
I try warning Raider fans. That is something you don't want.
Yeah, it's going to happen.
Well, you can't have that. That's why when people say Mark Davis should sell the team, it's like, dude, okay,
You don't
I know the guy's weird looking, I get it, but if you like the Raiders and you like their logo and you like everything that comes with the Raiders, you do not want that guy selling the team because you can lose that. I have watched that happen. The team that when I was a kid I grew up liking does not exist anymore. Now they're called the Tennessee Titans. It's not the same.
That's not the same Cleveland Browns. It's not the same
No.
Colts.
It's hard to explain, but it's just not the same. Not the same. But anyways, yeah, Derek Carr, by the way, he's only won one time in Arrowhead, and that was during a pandemic. There was like 20 people there. This guy just can't win an Arrowhead. I mean, he can't. But what Derek Carr needs to do, Willie, is he needs to be consistent. If the Raiders want to be as good as Phil thinks they are, then Derek Carr, his boy, needs to be really, really good here. He needs to win against the Saints. He needs to execute. Can't be throwing passes behind his wide receivers, Phil. He has to be accurate. He has to be pinpoint. He can't, if he gets sacked, he can't just fumble the ball away, something he does a lot, by the way, when he gets sacked.
What about taking the snap from center and not putting it on the ground immediately?
Oh, yeah. He's good at doing all that. So this guy has to be consistent. And he can throw, he has Devontae Adams. He has no excuses now. Has his college best friend. And Devontae Adams is really good. So they have to get together. Devontae Adams, I think, has been doing good all season. I've watched some of these games where I've seen Devontae Adams completely wide open, and Derek Carr, for some reason, doesn't throw him the football. I don't know why. But
snap reads, he's double covered, so he rules him out.
Yeah, you can't do that. Even Devontae Adams said that. You can't do that. Devontae Adams is good at. You can't do that.
Let's look at it from this standpoint, fellas. Let's take the tail of the tape. All right. Let's take the tail of the tape. Offensive line for the Raiders versus offensive line for the Saints.
Raiders.
Okay. Eve, who you got?
What's that?
I said,
who you got? The Raiders O line or the Saints O line?
I really don't know because that's it.
The Saints have allowed more pressures and more sacks.
You have to take everyone, the entire
as a unit. No, as a unit.
Oh well, I would probably take the Raiders.
Okay, quarterback. Who you taking?
You also got to remember though they have Andy Dalton, so
right. You can only play the people that's in front of you. I'm not concerned about anything else. So quarterback, who you taking? Andy Dalton or Derek Carr?
Oh, that's a tough one.
Phil.
If you would have said Taysom Hill, it would be a lot more easier. It's Taysom Hill. Taysom Hill, I would take over Derek Carr.
No way.
Yeah. He can throw the ball. Josh McDaniels would have him be a system quarterback where he can make easy passes and he can run the football. The Raiders would not be. I guarantee you, with Taysom Hill as quarterback, Raiders are not 2-4. I would bet my life on it because he would run the ball. He would. You see what Justin Fields did to the New England? That's what Taysom Hill would have done to Arizona, for example.
So why is he not doing it in New Orleans?
Because they don't give him the ball that much. That's the truth. That's the truth. If Sean Payton was still there,
he'd be getting the ball a lot more.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot, especially the way he's going right now. He'd be getting the ball a lot more.
And I'm telling you,
they didn't pay him all that money for no reason.
No,
Even if
Well, they didn't pay him to be a quarterback. They paid him to be a Swiss Army knife.
and he
that's a
is.
great, he's making a great little contract for being a Swiss Army knife too.
He's
But
he's
okay,
like
so
Daryl Patterson. He could play, multiple positions. He could play a wide
He
receiver.
just
He could
happens to
play,
be quarterback. Yeah,
yeah, I kind of missed that dude too, Cordero Patterson's for real.
oh
Okay,
yeah,
they
the
didn't use him right when he was here.
yeah. Well, that was Gruden. So, um, well, okay. So let me ask y'all this then. I'm turning into a journalist now.
Well, let's
So,
keep going with the tail of the tape. I got to wrap this up to go to work.
oh my bad. Okay, so who you picking, Phil, for the quarterback?
I'm still going with the incomplete, but
That's not the rules of the game. You're not throwing a dude back there that has
he's
incomplete on the
just
back of his jersey.
joking. Listen, he's just joking. He's taking Derek over
He
Andy.
doesn't want to. I understand that, but
oh,
that's not
give
an
me,
option.
give me Raging Cajun.
All right, so running back Kamara or Josh Jacobs.
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 D line Raiders or Saints.
Thanks.
Saints.
That might be that's a little tougher than I probably want to admit.
It's the Saints. Raiders only have Max Crosby.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, Chandler Jones is playing very, very well against the run. So you got to give him at least give him
A
that.
healthy Saints
Their
defensive
pressure,
line.
their
You got
pressure
Davenport.
is low. He's
Yeah.
making too much. He's making way too much money to be playing just the run. And
Agreed.
getting a half sack
Agreed.
into the season.
Agreed.
Games
But
in
we've seen this dude get 5 sacks in one game. I'm looking for that game.
I haven't seen it in
I'm
almost
looking for that
year
game
and
too,
a half.
Willie. I'm also looking for that game. When's
I
that
am
game
too.
going to come? It's week
I'd
8.
like it to happen from now and moving forward.
Yeah,
listen. This would be the perfect week for Chandler Jones to do that. He is going up against Andy Dalton, who
A statue.
Yeah, this would be the week to do that. So if Chandler Jones is ever going to get going, this would be the week that he would get going.
And he could end up the season with 31 and a half sacks.
If that's 5 per game, that's all.
Right.
I wouldn't mind if this guy got 2 sacks a game at this rate, because he's getting 0 sacks a game right now.
Hell, if he got 1 a game, he'd still finish with 11.
Yeah, I mean, just get something, do something. I know the coaches like to lie and say, "Whoa, we didn't bring him in here. He does these things that people don't see." Oh yeah, we don't see him because he's a ghost. Don't lie to us. We're watching the game. We're watching the football game.
Yeah,
I hate when these coaches lie like that. I mean, I'm guilty of it too. I do it, but I coach high school football. You know what I mean? So it's a little different. But
and you don't get paid millions of dollars to coach in the NFL.
No. I get paid $12 an hour. So I mean, this is like
doing it for the love.
Yeah. It's just something that's easy. But yeah, I mean, these guys are not. I mean, he's not telling the truth here. They brought in Chandler Jones to sack the quarterback. That's what he's known for.
Paid for.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, I got not really breaking news, but something that needs to be looked at on the radar. There's a report that says the Raiders have significant interest in safety Jabril Peppers.
They do. They have
already on. Oh no, Jabril.
Yeah, came from Michigan.
He was
part of the trade He was part of the trade that sent OBJ to Cleveland. Remember?
I get you on that part. I was thinking Jabril Wilson because I was getting ready to say, wasn't he already on the Raiders? But no, it was a different guy.
The Raiders are looking to get any DB right now possible. But obviously they don't want to give a first round pick. It's a whole bunch of stuff. But I'm telling you, a deal is going to end up being made. We just don't know who it's going to be right now. But pretty much all of anyone who's available, the Raiders are in on. They want to get a defensive back. But when you call, this is what I was told. When you call, let's say you're Dave Ziegler, you call about a player, that team may say, well, no, this guy's not available, but this guy is. It might be a completely different position. And that team might say, oh, really? Well, we want that guy. You know what I mean? So we'll see. But yeah, I do think the Raiders will end up making a trade for a defensive player. I do.
No doubt, no doubt. All right,
All right.
we'll keep it going. We got a couple more position groups to go, and then we can wrap this up.
I don't hear him. So,
Oh yeah, like so we'll do secondaries. Saints banged up secondary versus Raiders secondary minus Nate Hobbs.
oh, I'm probably taking the Saints, dude. The Raiders. I mean, the Raiders secondary is pretty bad. If you take out Nate Hobbs, you put in Nate Hobbs, I'm taking the Raiders.
I still like the Raiders secondary over the Saints, especially without Marlon Humphrey and Lattimore and Marshawn Lattimore.
Oh well, if you're taking those guys out, you just said
they're not playing.
Okay, well, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. That's a tough one. We'll see Sunday, right? If the Raiders are throwing off these guys with no problem scoring points, but I don't know.
All right. Said and the whoever it is that's kicking for the Saints versus the best kicker in the league.
Oh come on, DC Clutch. You don't go against DC Clutch.
Nah. All right. What's your final score prediction? Let's wrap this up. Make it
okay. In all seriousness, I think the Raiders will end up winning the game. I think it'll be a close game, though. I think they'll win by a field goal. I think it's a weird thing because, we all expect it to be high scoring. I have a feeling it's going to end up being low scoring game, 17-20, Raiders win.
I definitely can get behind a low scoring game. I think Kamara's going to get one. I hope and pray that Hill doesn't get one, but if he does, maybe Olave will get another one, and they can hold it at that. This defense has been a lot better than everybody wants to say they are. And you can point to the numbers and say all that good stuff. But as long as they keep the Saints out of the red zone, I like their chances to win this game. I got it being 24-21.
Yeah, I think the Raiders can pull. They got to execute, and they got to play for 4 quarters. They have to. If they don't do that, then they will lose because the Saints are a team that can score 17, 21 points on you in 1 quarter. So the Raiders have to be every quarter – be ready. You know what I mean? They can't take a quarter off like they did against Arizona, like they pretty much did almost every game this year. Play 4 quarters of football. The Raiders can escape there with a victory. They know how important this game is. This could really, really turn around their season for them. Not completely, but about 75% turnaround here if they can win this game. So it's going to be a big one. They can beat the Saints. They can do it. But they just got to execute. They have the players to do it. It's all about will they execute and do it. But I think they will. All right, so we're going to end this show. Thanks a lot, everyone, for watching. Phil, do you want anything to plug or anything?
I'm good. I got the LA Football Network show I got coming up later for the USC Trojans. I'd done a couple shows earlier this week on Unfiltered Truth. I actually had Willie on Monday for Victory Monday. I haven't written anything recently, but look for me on the Raider Ramble and LA Football Network, and that's all I got.
Yeah, and listen, USC will never be as good as Tennessee Vols, baby. So that's
really quick about Tennessee. They beat Georgia. Do they get number 1?
Of course they get number 1.
Because I thought that after they beat Bama, I thought they should have been number 1.
No, I already knew they weren't giving number 1. They have to beat Georgia to get number 1.
That's this week, isn't it?
No, that's they got a tough game. They got Kentucky this coming week.
Yeah, Kentucky's fallen off. Yeah, I was watching their game earlier this year, and I thought that they were going to be better, and everybody was hyping up this Will Levis kid, and I was like, I mean, he's all right, but he's not.
I know, but listen, they're still. I think they're ranked 17th, I believe, and what if Tennessee overlooks this game? You know what I mean? Like, and they're not playing, UT Tennessee, a team that played last week.
UT Martin.
Yeah, UT Martin. By the way, real quick, this Hyatt guy for the Tennessee Vols, this wide receiver, this guy's going to go in the top 10, I think. This guy is really, really.
He's going in the top 3 or top 5 for sure. I mean, you got to remember, he put 5 touchdowns up on Bama.
I know, and I watched them. I know that team's not very good. They played last week, but still, I mean, this guy is like, it was like he was playing against a bunch of 5-year-olds. It was like weird. I've never seen someone take over a game like that. I think the last time I seen someone take over a game like that was Randy Moss. You know what I mean? Just looked like a completely like a guy, a grown man versus little children. So he's gonna be really, really good. But anyways, Willie, since you weren't here, Raiders Saints, what's your prediction?
Raiders 31, Saints 24.
Wow, that's a big win. All right. Okay, so we're gonna wrap this. We're gonna wrap this up. Willie, do you have anything to promote before we wrap it up?
I need everybody to go to YouTube and subscribe to the channel, please.
What's the name of your channel, Willie?
The Shakeback Media Group. Go there and subscribe, please.
All right. Go to Willie's Shakeback Media Group and subscribe to his channel because I said so. All right, everyone. That is Bill Robinson. That is Willie. I am Stephen Michaels. This is the Raiders Weekly. We will see you after the Raiders defeat the Saints next week.